Welcome.
This is day one.
It
Day
is.
one. This is something that we've talked about doing for a really long time, especially relating it back to video games and what we did growing up, where we would just sit down and talk for so long, for hours on hours on hours on hours, and we would talk about everything.
Yeah, literally everything. I mean, it wouldn't even be like about the game in
No.
a sense. Majority of the time, I would say 10% of the time was about the game and actually focusing on it, right, and strategizing. But the other times of it was just us talking about life.
Yeah.
Just talking about like what we wanted to do, what we're striving for, and like everything like that.
Or even, taking it even a further step back of, this is annoying me right now, and just going on a full rant about it. And then educating each other about what we're doing right now and why it's bothering us. And
Yeah.
in that, I was able to learn so much about what you do.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, even though I've known you for so long, my mental image that the mental picture in my head that gets painted when you talk about what you do, I'm still thinking like laying the slab and
Yeah.
laying the tile and
Yeah.
doing all that type of stuff. Versus now your job responsibilities have scaled way beyond that, but has only gotten to that point of my understanding through those types of conversations where you said, yeah, now I'm doing the bidding, now I'm doing the actual construction of it, the 3D.
Yeah, the full aspect of my job and really
Yeah.
taking the next step from hands-on to
Yeah.
then the back end of the work and how the operation actually starts and grows to make money.
Yeah.
I mean, just kind of going through everything like that. Same thing with me. I mean, we grew. We already had a great relationship to begin with.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
From middle school on, and just those conversations and so on have just really dived, into the true aspects of our lives and how we're going to the same place.
Yeah.
And like we really related on a lot of the same ideologies and just the way we think of life, the personal aspects, the financial aspects, the business aspects, and what we really want to do for life. That's the main thing. And
Yeah.
I mean, from day one, I was there with you when you started finance,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for you. I mean, it was just a thought in my head to do versus an actual, implementation of, hey, this is what I can really do with my life. I always thought that I could end up in this route, but I never thought I'd actually be doing it.
Yeah.
Especially considering both of our families had so many financially related questions growing up.
Yeah.
That it bled onto us, and it bled onto us in the effect of us having to grow up faster than we needed to.
Yeah.
So we got jobs, we did all these things, we started setting money aside for the things that we wanted to and the projects that we were striving to complete. It bled onto us, and I think that's what's really cool about our unique circle, where, each one of us, no matter what background we come from, we could come from really well off, we could come from not so well off, we
Yeah.
could come from a project management tile and stone company to education, finance, and real estate route, and it's just, it's all these like blended effects of so many different topics, and then we come together, and it's like, yeah, I really understand what you're going through because of just being friends for so long.
Exactly. Take it to a personal level of our lives. It's just a different, even beyond personal. It's just like brothers, in a sense. Literally brothers.
My brother.
Literally brothers
My
from
brother.
different mother, as you can tell.
Yeah.
I
Oreo.
mean, basically that. It's crazy. I don't know,
It is
it's
crazy.
just weird to think about.
I've known you longer than I haven't known you.
You say that all the time, and when you told me that, I remember the first time you told me that, my mind literally exploded, and
Yeah.
it was like those videos you see where they're like it cuts into like the mountains and the it starts streaming and stuff with the dragons
Yeah.
and everything like that. I
Yeah.
was just like, oh my god, you're so right. It's so crazy on how somebody like you put such an impact on me on what I do,
Sure.
and how you help me get to the next levels in every aspect. And now you're doing it for me in a professional way as well, which is amazing. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want anybody else handling what I'm letting you handle in a
Sure.
sense more than you.
I think that's where we wanted to start this conversation, was around no one really having a perfect path. And
There isn't.
now there isn't.
There just isn't.
There's no perfect path.
There isn't. No matter what you see online, no matter what you see other people doing or just random people walking down the street, you'll never have the same path as them. You'll
No.
never have the perfect path.
And then in that front, you're also combating something totally separate than what any generation has ever faced in their life, which is the advent of social media, where, as cringy and cliche as it sounds to bring up time and time again, where, hey, you shouldn't be on social media all the time, which I think is really interesting because you've deleted all social media.
I have from everything personally. I have nothing that I just didn't see any benefit to it in a sense. It used to be a utility that was like, this is good, right? It was uplifting and so on. But over time, the mind, it really set me back in a sense of I'm behind, I'm not on the right path. And it started giving me self-doubts.
Yeah.
And I hated that. So I took the step and I was like, you know what? I'm done. And that actually happened right when I started at my new job.
Your first full-time
My
job.
first full-time job.
Your first full-time position outside of what you were already doing.
Correct. Outside of already what I was doing. A new step into new waters, new territories. When that happened, it was a light bulb went off in my head and it was like, there's no point in this. I don't see a need to go online and have that like demotivation and that push down of like, I should be here, I should be there. Why am I not doing this? Why did I do this? Why didn't I buy Bitcoin when I was 8 years old? I mean, just stuff like that. Like it's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
You know,
I should own this by now. I should own that by now. I should have the next newest car. I should have the, I should have the new AP Swatch that just came out and everything.
You don't even get me started on that.
The new Lambo, the new this, the new that, having it at the youngest age possible. There's always going to be, shiny object syndrome at having this next best, greatest idea and having this next best, greatest purchase. But once you dumb it all down, you get rid of all of the artificial distractions that are in our lives, you come back to the personable things, the things that actually matter in life, where behind the camera right now, we're looking at some beautiful nature. We've got some trees. We've got the beautiful sun shining. And we're hiding in the shade right now. These are the things that matter in life. And once you bring it back to that level, you bring it back to the personal things, the things you trust people for, someone that's able to instill confidence in you. And that's really what I got from you is, having the confidence in myself to pursue the things I wanted to go towards. And so when we're talking about there's no perfect path, if anything, I would say the one perfect path that can be carved and would be carved from a very young life or young livelihood is having those connections, having those people that support you, having the family that supports you. Because I don't just see you as a friend.
No,
I see you as family. Like you're going to be the future godfather to my, my future kids or whatever. But like, it's it's real. And
it is.
Once you bring it back to that level, when I'm talking to families about what matters to them financially, it's not about, what their portfolio is or what investments, what international stock they're buying. It does not matter.
No,
it does not matter.
No.
It's how you can make people feel. And I'm incredibly thankful, grateful, and appreciative for having the support system I've had, and especially having you in my life since a young age, since saying that, hey, I've known you for longer than I haven't known you at this point. But it's really cool to see that, and I think that's what kind of pushes us forward at the same time, despite all of these adverse effects that we feel that are pushed against us with social media, job changes, and avoiding the corporate ladder, which I think is really unique for us and our friend group. We don't see the corporate ladder as something that we'd want to do or something we'd want to climb. Instead, we'd rather have full control over it. And with that has its own personal and professional setbacks, consequences outside of that. There's, familial stuff that has to be resolved and ironed out outside of that. But again, if we just bring it back to the personal things, we find people that we relate with and we find a common ground to where we want to carve our path forward.
Yeah.
And right now, we're in this middle ground where we look behind us, we see, where we've been
Yeah.
and where we could have been. And
Yeah.
now we look forward and say, well, thankfully we're not there anymore. And now we can look forward and say, this is where we want to go. And, it's cool because I would say we are really future thinkers of our generation too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
110%. I mean, even the people we talk about, right? Like I brag about you all the time, just because it is. They always say it's not what you know, it's who you know, right? And I'm thankful I know you for that. And I really am.
Same.
And it's basically going back to that. It's every person we've talked to or I've talked to has always thought I'm 10 years older than I really am. Yeah. Same thing with you.
Yeah.
When I mentioned you, I'm like, yeah, his financial advisor, he handles all this stuff for me, handles all my my siblings and everything like that. And they were like, oh, really? Yeah. I'm like, yeah. And we went to school together. They're like, really? You went to school together? What year did you graduate? Like,
yeah,
2010, stuff like that. And I'm like, no, we graduated less than 5 years ago. So,
yeah.
And it's crazy. And they always see a mind boggle. That is the biggest thing that.
Yeah. You see it in their eyes.
Yeah. And for me, it's like, well, this is normal. Like, like you see it as well. Like, we're just meant for this. That's the thing. We're meant for this.
Yeah.
And I think other people sitting on the outside look at us as like, oh my God, that's insane that you're at that level, right? And we don't really feel that way.
And we still have so much further to go.
Yeah.
We see, all of the things that we still want to accomplish. And I just, I had that not first encounter. I had one of those encounters this week. A client comes into my office and we're sitting down. We're just talking about life. We're not even talking about finance. We're just talking about things. He was telling me, about his former baseball team and everything like that. And then, we start talking about life again. He goes, wait a minute, how old are you? And I said, I'm 23 years old. He goes, dude, I thought you were 30. And I was like, no, I'm not 30.
Yeah.
But he goes, damn, that's really cool. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
He goes, is this something you want to do forever? I'm saying, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't want to do it forever. And I think that's the differentiating factor into what separates us from other people in our generation, where we know exactly what we want to do.
Yeah.
We knew it from a very young age of this is what we wanted to do.
Yep.
And that's why we're still looking so far ahead of where we are at right now, why we see ourselves as the in-betweeners.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
for sure.
That's why, underneath our tagline of No Perfect Path is being the in-betweeners.
Yeah.
We are the in-betweeners.
We are.
Because we're in this weird, awkward middle stage, kind of like, middle child, even though we're not, neither of us are
both
middle
the
children.
youngest, actually.
We're both the youngest.
Yeah.
But it's like this middle child syndrome where we're not quite there, but we're also not quite here.
Yeah.
And that might not make sense to people that are not in that route, but to those of you that are, you will understand them. Hey, I have some cool stuff. I have some cool experiences, but I'm also not where I want to be yet.
No.
And I think that's kind of one of those lifelong journeys that we'll always find ourselves in.
Yeah.
Which makes, bring it back to personability again, which makes our connection even cooler and even more, satisfactory to me. It's saying, Vinny's been with me since day one of day one.
Oh, yeah.
And he's going to be with me moving forward.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's just, like you said, we're in that middle point, like the Matrix, right? The red and blue pill, right? I don't want the red or blue pill. I want the yellow pill. I want that random pill. And that's where we both are. That's why we really cling together, like you said.
Yeah.
And
give us the purple pill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever pill color.
Yeah. You don't discriminate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's crazy, man. Thinking about, like you said, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew what I wanted to be. I just didn't know the path I needed to go. And I'm still paving that path where I'm at now.
Yeah.
And obviously, as we got older and we started realizing, okay, we started to develop a path, right? And there was a lot of hesitation. Like, I know you felt it as well, but there was a lot of hesitation and fear. The main thing for me was fear. The fear of failure, the fear of letting everybody down in the sense, not that it shouldn't matter. It should not matter. You should just care about what you believe in and what you strive to do. And,
based off what you just said,
yeah,
you had a very big jump coming from family business life and being so ingrained in the family business and seeing not only the finances behind the family business, but also the personal consequences that come out of that.
Yeah.
But also the professional experience that you'd have working at a family business versus working somewhere else, which led you to go on to find a full-time position outside of the family business.
Correct.
What was that like? Why did you do it? Why were you even looking for that? And what did you get out of it?
Yeah, I mean, first off, that's
loaded question.
It is a loaded question. Yeah, but I'll start from the beginning in the sense of it was great working for the family business. I got to see the greats and I got to see the not so greats.
Yeah.
And believe me, there was a lot of not so greats in any entrepreneurial aspect of what you do. They know that there's a lot of struggle. There's a lot of testing and learning and so on, which, mind you, leads to the finance point. All that testing, all that failure, it makes you learn, but it also comes at a cost because it costs things in order to actually see if they succeed or if they're worth doing, right? So leading to that, I saw working with my family business and learning everything, which, mind you, carry for the rest of my life. It was a great thing. My dad always told me, he goes, you're going to learn the craft regardless of what you do. If you want to go to college, you want to do a doctor, whatever you want to be, right? You need to learn the craft because this is what we've always done, and you might find a passion for it. At a young age, he told me this, I think even when I was 8, he was telling me. Because I would go to work with him. We go to job site, I get to see everything. As a little kid, I'm like, oh, this is cool. It's fun. Working with my hands and stuff. I've always been like, I always like to work with my hands, play with Legos, go outside, do stuff, build something. I always loved it. And going from that and like seeing everything, I really saw the points that I wanted to change. I really wanted to see the different side of it, a bigger scale. I really wanted to see a bigger scale. That was the main motivator for me, was to let me step out of the comfort side with my family business, which is basically a parachute, right? It's a safety net. I want to step out of that and step into the water and really see if this is meant for me or if I
sink or swim.
Exactly. So I took the leap and I dove in. I started applying places. Eventually, got hired on project manager. Mind you, I was the youngest project manager ever in that company to get hired, and it was quite exciting for me, but a lot of butterflies, a lot of fear.
Sure.
A lot more pressure put on my shoulders than I was anticipating.
And not to put more pressure on your shoulders, but when we talk about coming from a family business to moving into the corporate life, we're not just saying mom and pop shop.
No.
Your family ran a really, really successful business and still runs a really successful business that really set the tone for you to be able to get the opportunities that you did. So now that when you're talking about becoming a project manager, it wasn't an entry-level position.
No.
And I think that is really the significant factor of being an in-betweener, where despite your age, you are not going into an entry-level position.
No.
You were the youngest project manager that the firm had ever hired. That after the family business. And so, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I feel like that's really important to point out, because when we're thinking about our generation, Gen Z to millennials, the very first job you get is likely to be an entry-level job, especially right now with how high the unemployment rate is and with the advent of AI, and you're talking about, what jobs are being crushed by AI. It's the entry-level jobs. It's why there's none available. And fortunately, you had the work experience behind it.
I did. I was, like I said, I wouldn't be where I was at without any of that experience, right? And that's why I was super grateful for my dad making me learn these things, even though like I wanted to do it at the same time, but he was very adamant about me doing this. So that gave me the experience, the knowledge to basically, when I talk, I seem seamless. You wouldn't expect me to be 23 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't. That's why I got hired.
Yeah.
I didn't do an in-person visit. I didn't do a video call.
Wow.
I had a plain phone call, and I got hired immediately after that. If that doesn't say that, like, if you know what you're talking about and you're confident about it, confidence. Like I told you, confidence, which I lack. I'm a preacher, but I don't I don't do the same things, but that's what you're here for. You tell me, be confident. I'm like, yeah. We always, leech off of that.
Yeah.
And going into that, I remember, and it just got hired, and I was so excited. I was so ready, and going there, it was basically like going to college for me. It gave me my master's degree in a sense.
Yeah.
It broadened my mind. Even though I didn't go to school, I learned the craft from the family business, right? The main ways of doing a smaller end, and then I moved to a huge company, right? We're talking 100 employees, 150 employees, right? And I got to work the high-end position of managing that. So when I got hired there, I was a project manager. I was the only one handling both the tile and stone because that was my main role for the company. They were looking for somebody that knew tile preferably, and stone was a benefit. And I checked all those boxes because basically I had the experience with tile. That was my main background, and the stone as well. So it was like a no-brainer in a sense for them to do that. And when I got there, I learned so many things. Like it was brand new territory. It was insane for me to learn. And I picked it up though, and there was times where I'm sure I told you, man, I call you on the way home after work. I'm driving home, and I'm like, oh my God, dude, you won't believe what happened today. And I'm like, I would sit there, and in the beginning, I would emphasize over these little mistakes that happen, and you would just tell me, dude, it's okay. Mistakes is what grows you. And I was like, yeah, you're right. You are right. And after I got over that, I just really grew. So 3 months after that, I then became the full tile division manager, and I never had more responsibility than that point. That point from that on gave me the confidence and gave me basically the basics of how to run a company and how to run a division successfully. And how to navigate challenges. And I never got that experience with my family company versus going there. So that's what I mean by it was like college experience. It really was. It gave me hands-on experience. That it changed my life forever. And that's why I'm at where I'm at today, is because I took that leap. I took that path and just I went with it.
Yeah. And forgive me if I'm bringing this up and you don't want to, but I think it's important to say you're hired really young.
Yeah.
And to the point where when we shared this, I was the second person to know or something?
No, you were the first person. I told you before I told my mom.
But when we told the friend group, you told the friend group, one of the responses was, why would they hire someone that young? But that kind of goes to show, this isn't just, post high school, that's your first work experience.
No.
You had been doing this for your entire life.
I have, yeah.
So in reality, sure, if we started at 18, then you'd have only a couple years of experience. But like you said, you've been doing this for 10 years before that. You started at 8 years old.
Yeah.
So really, if we're really talking, you had 14, 15 years of experience starting this role.
Correct. Yeah. That's the main thing.
And then bleeding that into, okay, well, leading a successful sector in the business.
Yeah.
What does that come from? Well, it's really interesting that you say that was your master's, because what I found was I was able to live through you while I was still in school because I was pushed to go to school. I didn't really have much of an option to not go to school.
Yeah.
So I felt that I was being able to live through you, getting real world experience, despite me working at the same time as going to school. But I was able to live through you, and vice versa. You were also to live through me, saying what was the actual college experience like.
Correct.
And how does that change stuff? But I think that's really cool because it's not just college. You're talking about post-grad. You called that your master's.
Yeah, I do, because it really gave that edge on experience.
Yes.
I think it's something that it can't be taught, for my industry at least. It can't be taught in school, and you know that as well.
Mm-hmm.
what we do today is school, regardless of what you go to school for, it has zero correlation
None
to what you do in your life.
whatsoever.
Nothing. Obviously, yeah, doctor, so on, blah blah blah. They have that, but they still have electives that have no corresponding.
I took a yoga class.
Yeah,
I work in finance.
I mean, it's just that's why I was like, it really was a master's because it was a real clear thing for me to become a professional. Right? I don't know. I think they say like 10,000 hours when you can
Yes.
call yourself a professional.
Malcolm Gladwell. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
stuff like that, right? I really got those 10,000 hours in during that master's time. So it was a perfect time for me to
Yes.
learn and actually become a professional in what I do.
Mhm.
And it was great. That was it was one of the scariest and most beneficial things I've ever done in my
Sure.
life.
Yeah.
You know.
So I want to take this one step further.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about coming from the transitioning from a family business to corporate life,
Correct.
what was one of the immediate changes you saw in the way that the family business was run that was maybe more efficient or less efficient than the way you were trained to corporate in the corporate world?
Correct.
That they
Yeah.
wanted you to do it in the corporate world.
Yeah. No, definitely. That was the main thing while I was there. In reality, it was like scouting, right?
Yeah.
I went there to see what is working, what is not working, and the thing is, nobody there got to see what I saw because they never worked a family business before. I
Yep.
think there was one other person, which was my boss at the time, worked a family business. So me and him really got along
Yeah.
together. But exactly that. When I was working there, the main difference that I saw that I loved was the organization and the technology. My
Mm.
my father's company, it was it was it was successful, right?
Yeah.
But when it came to the technology side and these the 2000 eras, right, when technology really took off,
Yeah.
he left a lot of that behind, and that's where I saw, well, that's an advantage. If I bring that in, it would go so on, right? So I loved the technology and the organization behind the technology in there,
Yeah.
and the communication and the actual scheduling format of it. I loved it. I thought it was incredible. I thought it was, something out of this world because I never got to see it hands on.
Sure.
You'd only hear about it. Yeah, big companies, they have this, that.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, this is awesome, right? But the downfall to that was corporate jobs, nobody wants to work more.
No.
Nobody does.
What's the benefit out of it?
Exactly. So the main thing I saw was for little inconveniences, they would hire somebody for it. Like they would make positions up to alleviate minor pressure from people. The only thing
Interesting.
was, for me seeing that, I saw a lot of wasted labor dollars and a lot of wasted time in a sense. Because
Sure.
it was like, yeah, it's good to have organization, to have multiple people on certain aspects, but at the same time, communication gets washed. I tell you one thing that it's green, you tell the next person it's green. Well, that person might not say it's green, it's actually yellow.
Yeah.
I hated that. I hated how there was too many tiers to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that as a downfall for sure because it was just you got too big in a sense that it would become
No,
detrimental. Like it just
that's corporate 101. If this person
exactly.
doesn't know, you ask the next person. And it's
Yeah.
just one big thought bubble of who knows what
Yeah,
without actually getting to an answer.
exactly.
Because there are so many people hired for a certain job
Yep.
inside the company that they only know that specific role.
Yeah.
Versus the family business, you had an efficiency because you knew every single in and out of the family business.
You were everything. There was no, helper, assistant, project manager. There was no manager. You were everything. So you had a little bit more control and a little bit more, I wouldn't say a little bit more. I would say you have a lot more streamlined path. Because when you go into that territory of multiple people, it got muddy. The water got muddy, very muddy. So I saw that as a downfall. I saw where like, well, what does this person do? Okay, you're you're there for what? You send emails out and do scheduling, and then it's like, okay, that's great, but what does it really impact as?
Sure.
If anything, are you an asset or are you a liability? And a lot of them seemed as a liability because they were just there to do that main thing, right?
Sure. There's no skin in the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that was kind of the main thing for me.
Yeah.
Was definitely that, seeing that failure in that system of just too much labor, wasted time.
Yeah.
It was rough for that part.
Which I think is really significant for our generation of being in the in-betweener stage where
Yeah.
it's so difficult to find yourself in a position where you have skin in the game,
Yeah.
where you have equity in a company,
Yeah.
where you have ownership over your time,
Yeah.
where you have ownership over your pay, where you have ownership over your work-life balance.
Yeah.
That is skin in the game.
It is.
Because whatever hours you put in directly impacts the benefits you reap outside of that,
Yeah.
which you do not get in the corporate world because what's the point?
No.
And I feel like that's really where our generation lies right now. They're just like, what's the point?
Yeah. There is no strive to go the little extra further mile because they're thinking in my head, well, it's 5 o'clock, I'm going home.
Yeah.
I never thought that way. I know you don't think that way at all. I know you're here. You're at your office until 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock
Yeah.
at night even. I mean, it's just stuff like that. That's what differentiates us from the other generations.
Yeah. And I know for sure you could expand so much more on the differences between the corporate and the
Yeah.
and the family business realm.
Yeah. I just gave the two main things I saw that
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I have the foundation, I have the right thing. Yes, adding on a few people helps for sure. And I got to learn who those roles were that were super beneficial to me in my position.
Yeah.
And I took that with me of like, well, you know what? When I when I ever decide to go back to my company and like my family company, I would implement this, and that. It gave me that knowledge. That's why it was huge.
So then this is going to be another loaded question.
Yeah.
And you can kind of answer this the way you want to.
Yeah.
But what was the motivating factor to eventually go back towards the family business? You kind of outlined it already, of the inefficiencies and efficiencies of what you wanted your work-life balance to look like.
Correct.
Why we push ourselves to the entrepreneurial route anyways.
Yeah.
But I think if we bring this back to more of like a personability front.
Yeah.
There's something very uniquely emotional about being able to have that type of ownership. So do you have thoughts there about, maybe not necessarily what made you finally leave the corporate world and go back towards the family business, but, there's a significant trade-off there.
Yeah, there was.
Especially in your focus and your division.
Yeah. I mean, again, like you said, the trade-off was a consistent paycheck, right? Never have to worry about anything. If we're for slow, I know I'm getting paid when I'm getting paid.
Yep.
Right. That was very comforting, right, in terms of finances and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That definitely was. But the main thing was there was no freedom. At the end of the day, even though I was at a high position role, if I wanted to do anything to expand on further, or I had these ideas, I'd have to confirm it with somebody else. And I hated that because it was even for minor things, you have to go to the next leadership.
Hop, skip, and a jump just to get one answer.
Exactly. And it really, I knew I didn't want to do that. I knew I didn't want to do something I didn't believe in just because I was told to do it.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a lot of the things I did do that I didn't agree on ended up biting them in the butt because it was like, well, you should have just trusted my instincts in a sense and it would have been there. But again, I'm in no position because I have no equity. I have no
skin in the game.
No skin in the game. Even though I'm in a high position, right? It's still, you're still overpowered.
Yeah.
And that's really that's really strived me to go back.
Yeah.
And also family things, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's
being able to build something with a family.
Correct.
It's
huge.
It's a very cool thing that not many people get to experience.
No.
And so I feel like that kind of bleeds into what I do and where I'm at, where I'm very fortunate that where I'm at in life and the mentors that I've had and the people that have shown me the ropes and the support systems that I've had have been in this sort of family realm.
Yep.
To the point where I'm not related to any of them, but I see them more than my own family every single day. Yeah. And it creates this culture where I feel like I have skin in the game because I joined Element Wealth Management
Yeah.
during the advent of it. It was, there was only it didn't exist 1 or 2 years prior, 1.5 years prior than me joining, and it was still in its infancy stage. I
Yeah.
mean, we're talking, $40 million under management. Now we've crossed over $300 million under management, and I carry it like my baby. And there's something significant about that not a lot of people can say that they've taken part in something like that, with the scale, with the efficiencies, dealing with the inefficiencies, dealing with the feelings of ripping a Band-Aid off on certain things and finally getting exposed to things and having to jump in the deep end of the next one and feeling the sting burn. It's a very unique experience, but it has its benefits and trade-offs. But at the end of the day, it incorporates something that's totally incalculable, which is the emotional aspect of it all.
Yeah.
Where you're able to return to the same people that showed you the ropes. And now you can kind of show them the next wave, the next generation, the way it's going. And it's really hard when it's really difficult to teach an old dog new tricks.
Oh, yeah, it is.
and I'm sure you've had your run-ins with that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. No, for sure.
So, it's really interesting. And for me, it's really rewarding as well, being able to see it, being able to experience it, and be able to do it on our own terms. But then again, no perfect path, but we're the in-betweeners. We, despite how different our paths are, we still meet in the middle, and we still, have the same ideology of where we want to go and how we want to do it. And it's very, very family oriented. You don't want an odd one out. You don't want the runt of the litter joining, and then, no one can keep up. And then that's, I think that's kind of where you're talking about the inefficiencies of the corporate world, where there's not a culture fit.
There isn't.
For certain people. And so once you're raised in this family business where you're everything at once, it's very go, go, go. And then you bring in a culture fit into you bring a unfit individual into the corporate world. There's no problem there. Why? Because they just do their job.
Yeah.
And some of the times, I mean, it's very funny with the way I was mentored is we have to do part of a family business or small family business, family office. You've got to do everything all at once. When you call in and you have a question about something, you expect that person to do their job. And when they don't do their job, it's a problem. Why? Because then it creates so many more inefficiencies for the family business again.
Yeah.
Got off topic there, but you see what I'm saying.
No, I totally get what you're saying. It's same boat, the same exact thing, but completely different.
Completely different.
But it's relatable pretty much identically.
Yeah.
It's just different subjects, right?
Different topics.
Yeah. Again, that's the main thing, right? But I don't know. I wouldn't see as anything I did as a regret. Like, oh, I shouldn't have left, right? I see everything as, well, I'm glad I did it because I learned so much. And that's the main thing for me, was not having any regrets, not feeling like I'm doing something that, I shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
In a sense, right? What social media is telling me I should be doing. Oh, why'd you leave there? You should have just stayed there and grabbed the, corporate ladder in a sense. I'm like, well, I'm not that type of person. I know you're not that type of person at all. So, but
there's always that coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Yeah.
But I think that's one thing that I try to tell mentees when they reach out to me and they say, how did you get licensed while you're still in school? How did you balance all that? How are you doing what you're doing now?
Yeah.
And my advice is just do what you like. I was very fortunate to know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do this since I started it. And I loved it. I loved everything about it. I was ready to jump in the deep end from day one. And I remember walking in, as an intern, have no job description yet, and saying, all right, what do you guys need help with? And they're like, well, we don't really know. But I just kept asking enough questions and kept asking enough questions to get my foot in the door. And that's kind of, what I would lead off towards you talking about project management specifically in tile and stone. For me, for financial advisory, if people are interested in finance, which very eluding, there's an illusion that the only paths in finance are financial advisory or wealth management, private equity, and venture capitalism. Yeah. As if there's no other positions that exist. But I knew I wanted to go into this because my family had financial questions. Your family had financial questions. Yeah. I grew up around you, and with our livelihoods of having to grow up way too fast than we did, we gelled together really quickly.
Yeah.
But my parting thought towards anyone that wants to go into finance is just do what you enjoy.
Yeah.
Do what you enjoy. As long as it's adjacent to what you're interested in and you're learning something from it, there's no perfect path you can go down.
No.
You can go explore as many paths you want. You could go corporate, you could go to family businesses, you could go here, you could go there. You can job hop.
Yeah.
It is okay to job hop.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like that's very important to say when there's this, you know, facade that it's, you know, there's a negative connotation towards job hopping. It's the reason why 401ks exist. It's the reason why it's not the reason why our parents and our parents' parents couldn't leave their company, their corporate company, after a while, because they only had a pension.
Yeah.
We don't have a pension anymore.
Nope.
We've got 401ks. What's the benefit out of a 401k? They're portable. You can take them places. You can take them with you. You can go from one company to the next.
Yeah.
And the underlying similarity between what I do versus what you do is doing something that you're interested in. So it doesn't matter if you're going from a family business to the corporate world.
Yeah.
Because you're still in the same realm.
I am. Yeah. Exactly.
You're in the same ball pit still.
Yeah. That exactly. And that leads me to the next thing of emphasizing off of that, right? For you.
Mm-hmm.
You knew I was always in construction. You knew I had
Sure.
my family business, and I knew you had that family business as well with
Yeah.
your mom and your dad as well. They had their businesses, right? I feel like you should explain why. Why did you? I know you said you had the financial behind it, but why did you really take the step into doing the financial aspect of it, right? You're a financial advisor, but in reality, you're also a life advisor. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
tell me how you combined both into something that used to be so stale and so gray, right? When you think
Sure.
of financial advisor, you think it's just like an accountant. Like, that's what I used to think of.
Yeah.
I literally used to think, oh, a financial advisor. Like, this guy's, just sees all my finances and stuff and then goes, oh, I'm buying this, I'm buying that. Like, very gray, very stale, not personable. How did you turn something so unpersonal, not unpersonal, so personal into something that was
Sure.
finance related?
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, growing up with entrepreneurial parents, and I think
Yeah.
growing up with entrepreneur parents, and obviously we both were ingrained with this idea of we
Yeah.
have control over our time, we have control over our pay, we have control over all these different aspects.
Correct.
Both my parents were entrepreneurs. They had multiple businesses. My dad had multiple businesses. My mom's a real estate agent, been a successful real estate agent. And so with that, she was also a stay-at-home mom during the first years of my life. And I was very fortunate to experience that.
Yeah.
But once she bridged into work culture, it turned into her just driving me to a soccer game or soccer practice, to her driving me to a soccer game or soccer practice while doing phone call after phone call after phone call.
Yeah.
To the point where she'd pick me up from school or sports sometimes, and I wouldn't say a word to her because she would just be a phone call after phone call after phone call.
Yeah.
That's the trade-off of corporate world versus, family life.
Yeah.
But for me, I saw that. I lived that.
Yeah.
To the point where I was, very fortunate to, get, I'd Uber home from school and stuff when I didn't have my driver's license. I was very fortunate to didn't have to take the public transport, even though public transport sucks in the United States. But
yeah, no kidding.
you can call me a nepo baby, but like whatever. No one's taking BART or the Contra Costa County BART, Contra Costa County bus,
No.
whatever. I was very fortunate for that to be able to like take the Ubers and do all that type of stuff. But
Yeah.
I saw the impact that it had. It led a bunch of financial questions for my family. Is this affordable? Yeah, sure. Ubers, I mean, that's probably a premium. But like being in the car with my mom, hearing her talk to families about what could be their forever home and the financial implications that come outside of that, whether or not they could afford in the area that they want to live in. And my mom talking to all these families with all these different backgrounds, and I'm here just listening to every single word of it. And it bleeds into me. And it bled into the conversation we'd have of, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And I'm thinking, I don't know. I'm 10 years old.
Yeah.
This, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I saw that from such an early age, and I saw that my family had questions.
Yeah.
And then growing up with, you and having our personalities so alike and just bounce off of each other, like it was as if we had been friends forever.
Yeah.
But that bled into the conversations we would have. And so I found that our family, my family, is not as unique as we like to think. And same thing for other families.
Yeah.
We all have the same underlying questions. Are we going to be okay? And as a financial advisor, it's my job to tell you the things you want to hear, but equally as important to tell you the things you may not want to hear.
Yeah.
Saying that you are not in the position to retire in 5, 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
And that's incredibly, I take that as a very important factor for what I do.
Yeah.
I do not take that lightly, because the decisions I'm making with the client, A, Mrs. Client, B, Mr. Client, I'm not here making decisions in a black box. We're making these decisions together just like a family would. And, I think that's what's really important about the new generation of financial advisors that are about to step in is, we're going to step out of this culture where it's predominantly white, old males dominating the space, and you never hear from them besides every 6 months or maybe once a year or something like that. And they're just managing your money. They're just investing your money.
Yeah.
I make it excruciatingly clear to my clients that I understand the 9 to 5 doesn't work for everybody. That's why I will make myself available on the weekends. Why? Because I have questions when my head hits the pillow at night. And those are really when my best and brightest ideas come out. Is when I can't sleep.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to say, all right, Mrs. Client, B, Mr. Client, that you can't contact me on the weekends or something like that.
Wow.
Call me, email me. Let's meet at the office. I'll meet you in your home.
Yeah.
Let's talk about these things. That's why I do what I do, because there is a personal aspect to every single thing that I do for my clients. And, it's not just being a relationship manager or being the person that manages money or being the financial planner. I'm doing all in one. And I'm very grateful to have a team behind me to support that, where there's continuity in these things. So when we're talking about old advisors, old white male advisors dominating the space, there's no continuity there. If anything were to happen to your family's advisor, what are you going to do? Go shopping for a new advisor or just, get passed on to the next person in the branch?
Yeah.
Or are you going to be with a team where there are senior advisors and there are junior advisors? You still have one point of contact. There's no 1-800 number. There is if you need it, but you just call me.
Yeah.
I'm the one that has trading authority on your accounts. I'm the one that has, the deciding factor in making you and helping you make these decisions that you make. But it's not my job to make them on my own. And equally as important, it's not my job to make these on behalf of my family alone. It's not my job to tell you and your family what to do alone. We make these decisions together. But the only way we do that is by coming back to, we're not as unique as we think we are. We have to share. We have to share our thoughts. We have to share our emotions. We have to share the things we're passionate about. We equally have to share the concerns we have. But if we don't, and we make it feel like social media, where this is my perfect life and everything's amazing and I'm just winging it, or I'm making it work, when in reality you're winging it.
Yeah.
It's not beneficial to anybody.
No.
And if anything, it's a detriment to yourself. And so that is why I do what I do, because I take it upon myself to open up that dialogue, which is why I have the newsletter I do, Think with Ryan. There are way too many financial tips that you'll find online already. Way too many. You don't need the next best stock to buy right now. Why? Because you have no idea if it would actually be good for you or not. And in reality, you just need better questions to think about your own life. And that's what Think with Ryan is about. You can find it on LinkedIn. You can also email me and get subscribe to it there, saying that you'd like to get it into your email inbox. But my job isn't to tell you what to do. My job is to help gear you up to ask yourself and your family better questions to decide what to do. And I take that very personally, because it
had an impact on you.
It had an impact on me. It had an impact on my family.
Yeah.
We wish we had a partner in our financial success and our financial journeys, but we didn't. Why? Because we typically were in the thought process that we need to wing it, or we didn't have the asset base, or we're not there yet. We don't have, a $5 million home. We don't have, the next, newest car. We don't have, the newest phones or whatever. We felt like we weren't there yet to get help.
Yeah.
But once you start sharing, once you start talking, as we did,
Yeah.
you start to realize that there's a lot more to talk about
Oh, for sure.
than what we think.
Definitely. I mean,
Sorry, that was long.
no, that was great. That was great. I just that leads me to my next point of we are the in-betweeners because we're so passionate about what we do.
Yes.
We do it with the sense of this is my this
Project.
is my project. This is my life that I'm working with.
Because at the end of the day, we have our own lives.
Yeah.
If we're going home and, we are going home knowing fully well that we're able to sleep well at night.
Yeah.
Because we're doing what's best interest of the people that we work with every day. Why? Because we have a passion for it.
Yeah.
Find your passion. Find your passion. That sounds very, do this, do that. No, it's that simple. Part of the in-betweener stage is just knowing what you're passionate about and going for it no matter what. And then you realize there are some people that haven't realized what they're passionate about yet. But even still, the people that are passionate about something aren't where they want to be.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the whole point of it, that there is no perfect path, but you can carve your own path as long as you're passionate, as long as you have a sense of doing good. If you have malintent or you're just negative mindset and you don't care what happens, I'm just here and
or you
I'm
lack the
moving
confidence
on.
or something like that.
Exactly. There's no point.
There's
Why,
no point.
why do it? Why do it? That's the whole point for me. Why do something and call yourself a professional if you're not taking it with the sense of the care and acknowledgement to that person
Yes.
or project, in my sense? What's the point of it? You might as well just not even do it. You go do something else.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing is do what you love and
do what you love. Shoot for the moon. If you miss, you land upon the stars. But the only way you get to any of those points is by putting in effort about the things you know and care about.
Exactly.
And no matter what you're doing, you will always realize that it will forever be a learning curve. And you're always learning. It's a lifelong journey of learning.
And you only learn unless you dive in.
Yep. Jump in the deep end.
Don't be afraid. That's the main thing, just like you.
As long-winded as we got talking about what we do and how we show up day in, day out for our clients and the businesses that we're building actively, it's important not to get this sense of imposter syndrome of where we are, our age, what business we're in, what current state of the business we're at, the inefficiencies it has, the efficiencies it has, the advantages, the disadvantages, the personal relationships. There's so many trade-offs that go into all this type of stuff. But it's super, super important to not get this sense of imposter syndrome, but it's incredibly difficult when I look around, and I'm sure you look around, and you realize people that are in the same position as me are 10 to 15 years older than me.
Yeah. They are. That's a huge...
So then what do? Well, you go back to your passion.
You do. If age is a number, it's relevant, right? Even though I sound like a middle-aged white woman right now, like not wanting to care about their age, but in reality, it is. What comes behind it is, if you're truly passionate about something, you could be 20, you could be 30, you could be 40. That's what gives you. That's what gives you the backbone.
It's what gives you drive to continue going in spite of feeling like an imposter.
Or whatever society says you should do, or whatever social media says you should do. If you're passionate about it,
you're going to do it.
You'll succeed. Even if you have failures, take it as, like you told me, take it as a learning curve, and you build on it. You're only building characters to yourself.
There's no perfect path. You're going to make mistakes, but the mistakes only make you better. Why? Because you learn from them. And there's, a lifelong journey of mistakes that we're bound to make and that other people are bound to make. But as long as we continue to remind each other, remind ourselves, and other people remind their friends and family that it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to feel like you're behind when you're really not. You go back to having conversations like this where I'm able to leave off this conversation and say, I feel good because my best friend and I just talked about something that's really, really personal to us.
It is.
And that we're really passionate about, because we're not only just passionate about our family businesses, but also the relationships we build outside of it.
Yeah.
And so my relationship with you, yeah, sure, it's not just being, what's up, bro? What's up, homie? Like,
Yeah.
how are things? It's also, all right, let's get the family wealth binder in check. Let's start getting this, and hearing about you and being able to live through you, and your advantage is having the family business experience and the corporate experience. I'm able to live through you and all of that, and you're able to guide me on certain business practice and business expansions and stuff. In totality, it's all just this entrepreneurial mindset that you'll find yourself in, and you'll find yourself in this idea that there's no perfect path forward.
No, and the whole point of that is, if you have someone in your life that you're close with, it could be mom, dad, siblings, friends, having that person that you can have these deep conversations with, and the openness and the vulnerability has been a huge, tremendous asset. If you can have that in your life, take advantage of it, bounce ideas off of each other, share your failures, share your grand, grand wealth and all of that. Yeah. Share everything, share your accomplishments. And if not, you have us to relate off of.
Yeah. There's a great saying I saw, and I think we'll probably leave it off on this.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting the creator's name, but I remember sending it to you the moment I saw it. It's a YouTuber. I think he's some type of motivational speaker, or he might even be a therapist. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But he said, it's very easy to call someone in your worst moments.
Yeah.
But it is actually more difficult to call someone during your happiest moments. Yeah. Someone that you can share your pride with, someone that you can share your accomplishments and tribulations with, versus when you're just in the dumps, you can say, hey man, I really need some help. I know I can always call you for that, but it's equally as hard, if not harder, to call you and say, hey man, I'm doing this right now. I feel really great about it.
Yeah.
But it's really important to have those conversations, to talk to family, talk to friends, talk to your family friends, talk to, the person you're sitting on the bus next to.
No, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Doing those types of things to, open and start the conversation.
Yeah.
And so, if you relate to this is an area where we open the conversation. Invite you to join us in this conversation.
Yeah.
You can reach out to Vincent on LinkedIn. You can reach out to myself on LinkedIn. The link is in our bio to both of our contact pages.
Yep.
And yeah,
that's that. The in-betweeners.
It's no perfect path. Thank you, brother.